Welcome back to another episode of the Jackrabbit Illustrated Podcast. We're excited to have you join us today. Before we dive in, we'd like to thank our sponsors who help make this all possible. First off, a great big thank you to our title sponsor again for 2024, the Kubota dealers of South Dakota. Whether it's tractors, mowers, utility vehicles, construction, or farm equipment, Kubota's got you covered. With 9 convenient locations across the state of South Dakota and 1 in northwest Iowa, there's always a Kubota dealer nearby. Stop by your local Kubota dealer and see all they have to offer. All A-Team shows are sponsored this year by Culver's of Brookings and Watertown, home of the Butterburger, fried cheese curds, signature root beer, and world-famous custard. Culver's, welcome to Delicious. Next, we'd like to recognize the support of our other A-Team podcast sponsors. Cubby Sports Bar and Grill, the best sports bar in South Dakota and home to the Jimmy Rogers Radio Show. Northwestern Mutual Wealth Management, see them for all your retirement and life insurance needs. And the Jackrabbit Former Players Association. And now, here is the A-Team.
And we're back. All right, another victory Sunday here. So
you bet.
What, Chad?
Like a bad habit.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's good to be back. It's good to be back coming off of a victory here. I'm missing Jim Poppin in the comments, welcoming us. He always is first in, so I hope Jim's okay.
He took that trip down there, so he might be returning.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Hopefully you had fun, Jim, if you're listening somewhere. First, just got to say thanks to the Kubota dealers of South Dakota. As you heard in the intro, 10 different locations. Today, I was looking at my Kubota, actually. We be here. All right, Jim Poppins here. Good. All right. Was looking at my BX 2680 today, and I realized that winter is not that far away. So probably going to mow my yard one more time, break up some leaves eventually here, and then get the mower deck off, get the snowblower on, and we'll be good to go. We'll be set. So
better put some anti-gel in that thing.
Yeah, put some anti-gel. I still have to fix one of my fuel filters. So anyways, I'll take care of it. But that's the good part about Kubota. Even someone like me who knows nothing about this stuff can do it. It's all pretty simple, pretty dummy proof. So I've really enjoyed having my 2680.
I feel more capable just by association with you right now, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You know, fun fact about your Kubota that you may not know, and I didn't, is the drive comes off the front of the engine, and the fan and everything's at the back, which makes sense because that's where the radiator is.
Okay.
But I had no idea. I stopped at Pfeiffer's and was talking to the service department there and got a hat, and I had no idea. And he said that's something they did because it's a 3-cylinder and it actually smooths out by swapping the rotation direction. So
right, I'm going to take your word for it, Chad.
Sorry, not football related. But I got one too.
So thank you, Kubota dealers of South Dakota. There. Also have to thank Culver's of Brookings and Watertown. Culver's has quickly become my kids' favorite restaurant. Whenever we're going through Brookings or Watertown, saying we're heading back to Clark to visit my family, we'll stop by Watertown and get some chicken strips, get a cheeseburger for me. They always beg for ice cream. Sometimes mom says no, but if I'm in charge, I say yes. So thank you, Culver's of Brookings and Watertown, for your sponsorship the last few years. So we really appreciate it. All right, Dallas, how the heck are you, man? You've been busy.
Yeah, good. Tons of running around again this weekend. Hudson's at hockey right now. Landy had it this morning. We had a big game up in Chaska. Mankato West was victorious again on Friday night, so got back from that. Oh, and then Aspen, actually probably the best part of the weekend. Aspen had her first real race of the season in Northfield, her senior season of cross country for Hammond. So yeah, busy sports weekend, but it's been awesome. Love it. Weather's perfect. Enjoyed it thoroughly. Still everything timed out well enough to watch the Jacks and enjoy that. And yeah.
All right, Jake, what about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, no, great weekend. Just to kind of slow down a little bit. Been fun to have the games. Obviously, a couple home games the last couple of weeks, and was able to. I compromised with the wife and the girls. Again, I got 2 little girls, a 3 and a 2-year-old. We went to the pumpkin patch yesterday, but I said we had to leave by 5:30 so we could get over and watch the Jacks game by 6. So that was good. And And again, I can't complain about the pumpkin patch because it's like those girls just light up. I mean, they had the time of their lives. They just run around and had a great time. And I got to do a little bit more tough guy stuff today. I hung some tree stands and checked some trail cams today. So good weekend, great weather. And the only thing I will say, I think because Matt's wearing a loon on his hat, does he got to do a loon call? Is that something he can do?
I can't. Yeah.
You can't do it?
Living in Minnesota.
Dude, I was going to call out that hat. That is a great hat.
It's a loon, right? That's a loon.
That is a really cool hat.
So if we could get Weigel to be a sponsor eventually, I love Weigel golf apparel. So yeah,
I think you need to learn a loon call for the next week.
Next week. Yeah. And Jake, I am glad that you had a weekend of recovery after Kyle Harris corrupted you, last week.
Yeah. That's
I don't know. Your leisurely weekend sounds like you need 3 kids in competitive sports.
Yeah, no. I had to sit here and like, I'm going to be there before you know it.
I was going to
say, I can.
The table, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chad, what about you? What did you do?
Well, we went over to Shenanigans yesterday to watch the game because we were celebrating Ariel's last day, and Brendan's wife Ariel, it's last day in the Guards. So go do that. And my buddy
awesome.
A fundraiser for one of his neighbors that had breast cancer. They had a big block party, and so we went over there and did that afterwards. Got to watch a band from up by Webster, run into Paul Saylor and some other people, a bunch of Jackrabbits fans. And a nice little week.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good stuff.
Hey, we're just trying to have our own animal segment. Come on now.
Yeah.
So Jake, did you listen to those shenanigans from Scared Money Don't Make Money? Yeah,
I have. I think that's right up Brendan's alley. I mean,
oh my goodness. Yeah,
anybody can.
Yeah, you'll understand this. I mean, I got a call from PBS on Friday morning. They want Wildcrats to sponsor, the segment now, and Scared Money Don't Make Money. So, yeah, maybe your kids aren't old enough yet. I don't know. All right. Let's talk about Southeastern Louisiana and the game last night. So, Dallas, let's start with you. You said you were excited. So let's talk to you first.
Sure. I'm very excited for the game. Anytime that that a group is going to come back from a disappointing performance, and again, honestly, Augustana not going to make excuses. The team obviously wanted to do more, I think, offensively in that game, but Augustana looked great this last week in Northern Sun play. But anyway, when you see a team kind of come back and get a chance to right themselves, that to me is like the most exciting challenge to see how they're going to respond, what they're going to do, how the coaches attack it, how the players attack it. And for the most part, I mean, definitely two out of 3 phases, and half of the offense played absolutely lights out. Exciting to see that, and that's a challenging road trip down there. Mm-hmm. And Matt, also, I love that you called out in rants and raves the nutritional staff, making sure they were ready, because we kind of brushed it off saying like, oh, they were, they had some issues in Oklahoma, in Stillwater with the heat, but they'll be fine. They're used to it. It's no big deal. Man, what was it, 90 something at kickoff with just tropical humidity? Like that's no joke. And they got through that without any issues. So that was cool. Obviously we'll talk about Kirby Voorhees plenty. Oh my goodness, that was not on my bingo card. Wow.
Yeah.
What a It was day. On mine. It was on mine.
I know it was. We were on the JI group text. We were waiting for you to respond the whole time. I don't know what you were doing. Knowing you
watching the game at a bar, and he made that first. He kind of stopped and then did the spun. He did the spin and then got in the end zone, and you should have heard me scream Voorhees. And then a second time, Voorhees! Of course.
Love it.
Awesome. Sorry. Jake, what about you? Initial impressions?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity for those guys to kind of bounce back, we've heard about it from coaches, from the players a lot right now. It's just the opportunity to get to mesh and gel a little bit. And I think they did that. That's the thing that, there were some opportunities, I would say, offensively. We didn't have a great pass game, but I think, when you have a offensive line that played that well, I mean, those 605 Hogs, stepped up. They were moving that line of scrimmage, or they were not getting pressure. And if you listen to a lot of the pregame stuff from Jimmy, it was, their DNs are good. You got to watch pressure on that D line, and our offensive line just stepped up. Now, granted, Kirby had some great runs. I mean, nobody was bringing that guy down, but I think like that's where that game right there, I think, is a good example of the team that we can be. I mean, that was really exciting to watch that. It was fun to see the guys gel a little bit and mesh. And to be quite frank, like, with Mark, he's on the Mount Rushmore of South Dakota State football, arguably, right? Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't think
not arguably. He could take the rest of the year off and would already be on it.
Still be there, 100%. And that's what I'm saying. Like, can you be a little disappointed? Sure. I mean, it's like the high school kid that, has showed up on curfew for 3 years and all of a sudden he gets to be a senior and he shows up late once. Like, you can be disappointed, but you're not critical of that kid because he's a good kid. Like that's the example with Mark. Like, he has led us to 2 national championships and is a leader in the locker room. He is a great kid. And those guys stepping up, I think, is kind of an example of them. Like, their confidence, probably stems from him as a leader and those other guys in the offense. So it was just really fun to see, I think, that team kind of gel and come together.
That's an interesting point when you bring up Mark, though, and he would be the first one, I'm sure, being the leader that he is, to take things on his shoulders. But most anybody that knows anything about football will tell you that the quarterback gets too much credit and takes too much blame, right? Because there's so much that goes into that. And we can talk passing game a little bit more later, but that's just something to make sure that people remember and to realize that 3/4 of the time, and there weren't any just terrible looking throws in that game, but just imagine, even whether it's on Sunday or Friday or Saturday, right? When you watch a game and a ball sails and you're like, where's he throwing it to? At 50-50, it was his fault. Like, it might have been, you have no idea what led in to that ball ending up in that location or the timing being off or whatever. So that's my rant.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I was telling. Sorry, I was just gonna say it's kind of like what I was saying with Matt before the show, that interception. He had a dude in his face and got taken to the ground. He was trying to make that happen. Should have he thrown it over his head? I mean, I guess maybe, but if he makes the catch, it's a great play. Yep. I mean, if it doesn't get intercepted, obviously.
Well, and I think the you can't even really call it pressure, right? I mean, you got to think of like Mark in that locker room. It's not just him; it's 80 guys, eyes on him all the time. Like, that team is looking at Mark in so many ways. As a leader, he sets the tone in the locker room. He sets the tone before the game, after the game, halftime, and so that's the thing that I think we got to give him credit for. Like, the kid's a great human, a great leader, a great player. Like, a lot of, I think, the example of these younger guys even stepping up. I mean, the expectation is set, and I think a lot of that's because of Mark and some of those other guys. So, I mean, that's the other perspective of this. Like, yeah, our defense played absolutely phenomenal. They really stepped up. I think, what was it, 2 for 16 on third down? SLU was. That's crazy. And again, I think like that goes to that team culture. They're starting to mesh and they're starting to gel, and they only mesh, they only gel if you got good leadership.
So hold on, you said 80 pairs of eyes on him, 81 pairs because the 81st pair was freaking Jim Nagy on the sideline watching him. That's
one of the Senior Bowl Scouts. Yeah,
well, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, somebody was. The tweet made it look like it was him. So at any rate, whoever it was, I don't want them in my office watching me work.
Yeah, no doubt.
No. Well, Dallas and Jake, I am disappointed in you. You guys talked about the offense in your initial impressions, but not the freaking chain gang. I mean, what? Who are you two? The chain gang ate, fellas, and we've been asking for that. They started to show up last week against Augustana. My goodness. Kobe Claiborne, dominant. Ruperta, dominant. What'd they call him? J-Rod DePriest?
I was going to bring that up. You beat me to it. So, I yelled at the TV. I said, we're in South Dakota. It's Jared. But
yeah. So it just, man alive. Like, those guys were awesome last night and really just played with a lot of energy. And then you saw Bryce Hawthorne there at the end get that sack and just whoop.
Ooh, he made that center look stupid.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was great. I just love seeing those guys. So that was my initial thing I wanted to talk about, was how dominant the defensive line was.
I'd say they're back, but they never left.
Yeah, right. Held SLU to under 200 yards of total offense, both in the run game. I mean, I think it was like 2.6 yards per carry, and just harassed the quarterback the whole night. So it was great. I love seeing them.
Yeah, and every time they rotated somebody in, it didn't stop, right? I mean, like they rotate somebody in, and the energy was the same, the level was the same. Like that was promising. And coming into this year, that was everybody's concern across the board, both sides. We got some new guys. You know, that's I think a really exciting thing, and commendable to the guys, but also the coaches. Like those players came in and they did not miss a beat.
Yeah, and I didn't track snaps, but there would have been 3 guys playing that were originally third string, I think.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
So that's huge. And I want to go back and talk about Kobe Claiborne a little bit more. He got called out on the television broadcast. We cannot say enough good things about him. He is worth the price of admission. He has exceeded all expectations except probably his own. He is so fun to watch. His motor is terrific. He uses his leverage. He's a little bit shorter guy. He just keeps moving. You can use any adjective you want, but I can see, I only assume he's a leader in that room with just the energy that he brings on the field. But yeah, I can't wait. Like there's been no let up, right? Like we've seen the same thing consistently week after week after week. And I'm kind of pumped to see what he does in the Valley.
Yeah. I was excited that we got to see Randy out there again, running around. I mean, it's his senior year and he's been so injured in his time in Brookings. So that was just huge that he got a lot of snaps, right? Nick Wells, redshirt freshman. That's one of the guys, Dallas, that you were mentioning was probably third on the depth chart. When I did the preview with Bibbs ahead of time, the interview, Bibbs loves his mentality. And you kind of saw that with Southeastern just being chippy and talkative after the play. Wells has that play through the whistle to him, is what Bibbs said. And that same kind of prickish nature that Mason has. And so that was just fun to see him out there making plays too. He played well.
Jake, did you notice how much they stunted during this game? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I've counted every game, but it was a ton. I don't know that I've seen a South Dakota State defense twist as much as I noticed yesterday.
Yeah, no, and I think I did notice that too. I was going to comment on that. I think the opportunity for us to like even step up and do it well too. Like we said, like we were getting upfield, we were getting in the backfield, we were managing it well. And I think honestly, I can't speak to what the strategy or scheme is there, but I mean, I think our coaches are probably saying the same thing we are. Holy smokes, we got some athletes. Let's use them. I know a lot of times when we played, it was you're blitzing and stunting against either a really good team or like when we had the Danny Battens, the Mitch Pontrellis, the Eric Schroeders, like use them because they're studs. Like that was kind of the mindset that I think our coaches right now are, and it paid off. I mean, the athleticism from those guys was unreal.
No, it's impressive to get that much penetration on stunts like that because you think about you're wasting 3 or 4 steps laterally, and it is so easy. If you get beat at all, you're going east and west immediately, and you're not getting in the backfield, and that didn't happen much at all.
Other guys I got to mention right on the back end of the defense. I thought our 2 senior safeties, I guess Durant's isn't a senior technically, but Kobe Herter and Durant's were in the same recruiting class. Man, those 2 look good out there. And it's hard to believe that, right? These are the backups too to Cale Reeder and Tucker Large. Like technically these guys could start anywhere, could be all conference type of players. And they still could this year, right? With how they're playing. Matt Durant's especially that I wrote about this in Rants and Raves, that post, I think, to the tight end when Southeastern missed their first field goal. Durant's decked him. The ball was in his hands. That was a catchable ball.
That was such a good play.
And it was such a good physical hit. And then they ended up missing the field goal. It could have been first and goal, or not first down in the red zone, or at least close to the red zone. And because of it, Jacks had great field position going the other way. So huge play by Durant's. Super happy for those 2.
Heck yes. Speaking of their tight end, have you guys ever seen the dancing stilts people in like Caribbean? I'm pretty sure that's what their tight end was. That guy had the longest legs of any human I've ever seen in my life. Great athlete, but what a unique body. Nobody else noticed that.
I didn't.
You're
I
kidding.
Didn't make that association. No.
Okay,
I did that.
I am going to.
I just saw Durant take his soul on that. Pass breaker.
All right. Dude has long legs.
Well, and so speaking of Herder, I think like the other thing, we call it the strength staff, which again I give 100% credit to. I was in strength and conditioning my first year out of school, loved that aspect of it. So, I think like that credit to that group to do the work. It's 90 degrees and humid, getting the players ready. But look who stepped up. You got a Kirby who's from Florida and Herder who's from Houston. I mean, again, you could say that doesn't matter. It probably doesn't, but it's just kind of fun to make that correlation. Like those guys know how to take care of themselves. They know what they're doing. They had big games, and they both referenced it in their post game presser. They both said like, yeah, this was great. It's like being home, And so, I mean, they were a little more comfortable than Jimmy was, probably in a long sleeve, sweating his tail off on the sideline.
I thought that was pretty good in the post game. That both of them. Yeah, you're right. Being from that part of the country and just used to it, it was good. It was a really good point by Tyler, and just kind of neat that those two had such standout performances. So
yeah.
Anyone else on defense before we talk about KTV?
I mean, obviously Dallas had a real good game, and so did Graham Spalding. I mean, those guys really performed well. Graham was all over the field. Dallas got 2 BS penalties, both of them. I don't know. The PI was garbage. The guy tripped on Dallas's feet. They threw a flag and it was PI. The other one, he like smokes the wide receiver into the guy running the ball. The wide receiver dumps him back up over his head, and they called personal foul, helmet to helmet contact on him. Like, really? That was kind of strange, but he had a great game. So did Spalding. He was all over. And obviously, Francie, he had a pretty good game too. Mr. Francie. I thought that was funny. They kept calling him.
Francie.
And quick weird update on Francel, right? I was clicking through Instagram earlier tonight, and I saw that he did at some point end up on the rooftop of Cubbies today.
Okay.
Cubbies, sponsors some meals for the athletes and stuff. So could you make it up to the rooftop if your leg was in a mess? I don't know. So fingers crossed that he's okay. So
I'm appreciative of your roster stocking, Matt.
Yeah, that's.
I was just.
I hope he's good, man.
Yeah.
No, we need him, and I hope the best for him. It looked, something about it on the broadcast seemed nasty for a little bit, but
I just thought it was like clicking when he was walking off. It looked weird.
It didn't look like he was putting some weight, but it just didn't seem right. And hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, hopefully it's just a bruise from hitting the turf or something on the kneecap.
Oh, the other, back on pronunciations, the other great one was the number of different ways they pronounced. Who was it? McGoy?
McGoy.
Yeah, there's like 9 different ways to pronounce that, and then
he had a good game as well.
Yeah, he did, and they were I think they were kind of fighting their way through and pronounced it 3 or 4 different ways, and then he made a play the next play, and he goes, "Oh, well, he looked great there."
Yeah,
did you guys catch that? That was really good. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I did a little bit of spit take.
Hey, but they nailed Kentrell's.
Yep.
So yeah,
got the local game right. Local.
All right, Chad. Here's your flowers. Talk us through what you saw with KTV.
I mean, dude's a stud. He looks like who was it that said that he looks like Zenner and Davis had a baby? And it's Isaiah.
I like that.
I did too. I was like, well, I'm going to steal that, obviously. So whoever that was, I'm sorry. You'll get credit when I remember who that was. But yeah, dude ran all over the place, bounced off tackles. He what I noticed about what he was doing was really following his lead blockers, being patient behind Bernstein a bunch. And that seemed to really give him the space he needed to. Between Bernstein and Brenner making holes for him. Gosh, man, how excited could you be for a guy like that?
Like how it was nuts. Okay, to do that once was amazing. Mm-hmm. Twice, wow, he must be fired up. 3 times, like I've never seen a stat line like that in my life at any level of football. I don't think.
And I absolutely love the fact that they called it out as a Randy Moss stat line.
Randy
That was
Moss.
good.
I was gonna say,
That's
besides
back
Randy
when we were all
Moss,
watching the
Yeah.
hapless Vikings, even if we didn't like them, but they still had Moss, so it was worth the price of admission.
You
And we all
mispronounced
knew
elite,
exactly
Chad.
what they were talking about. Moments later, that's on Twitter with Kirby's face on Moss's body, which was just maybe a little bit creepy to me. But
Yeah, good job,
work.
Ryan Jensen. Shout out to you. That was funny.
Yeah, the internet's undefeated.
And he also had the Kirby's Dreamland Kirby with the Jason
Which Kirby is
mask
that?
was good.
with a knife. So that was funny. Yeah, Ryan Jensen had both of them. So, but also, so now we got to go back to this, like this Zenner Davis thing, because I've heard him compared to Mike Allstott.
For anybody listening, we've got so Kirby, who was from an initial like Nintendo, right? I don't even know what the character is. Kirby's Dreamland, from Nintendo. So little pink puffy guy holding a knife with an old school hockey mask to look like,
Jason.
Jason Voorhees, yeah. So very well done.
All right. So we've had now Kirby compared to Zenner / Davis having a child together. Mike Allstott, Zach Zenner, and Josh Ronick are the names that I've heard now for these. Mike Allstott was like 6'2", 240 some.
Yeah,
Kirby's not that. So no,
5'11".
Yeah, 5'11", 220, I think, right? So
honestly, guys, I was going to bring that up later. The Ronick thing's not far off from that game. I mean, that was the sort of crap that he would pull because he could hit somebody squared up on him, and Josh was 5'8", maybe. Josh was short. But his ability to run through people and duck under tackles, and you never knew which he was going to do, and just the balance and just having like solid hips, at any point of contact allowed him to do that, and that was exactly the style of running that we saw.
That's awesome.
And again, I will remind you that's who Stig says is the best football player he ever coached. So like that is a very high compliment to compare those two.
On the Mount Rushmore of SSU football, 100%.
For sure.
Ronick for sure. But and that's you got to look at like the recruiting for like where we're at too. Like again, commendable to the coaches. We're finding these guys and they're excited about South Dakota State football. Again, we've been able to grow the program. It's a lot easier to bring them to SSU than the old bomb shelter days with the portable bleachers that we used to have. Yeah. And again, that's exciting. Like I don't say that envious as a former player. It's fun to see. It's fun to watch. And you get guys like this that, Jimmy's been saying a long time, like, man, you just wait and see for this kid. Scout team player of the year last year. That is not I'll be honest, that is not an easy task to get. That scout team that is a tough job as a scout team running back. Zach Zenner was my scout team running back when I was a senior. And I mean, that kid ran over us like he was better than every running back in the league. And I'm sure that was the same thing last year with him. And Jimmy said that, like, you just wait and see. So I think it's exciting to see where we're at with recruiting, the type of players we've gotten, like where these coaches have gone. Again, winning helps, but our coaches still work really hard to get these really good guys. And that's cool.
Mm-hmm. And just the tradition of running backs that we have, and that we have coming in still. Quinn Renfro hasn't taken a snap yet for us either. Right. And then Dallas, what was the other statistic for Pankey, the running back from Missouri that we have signed? You had his mileage. How many miles?
He's rushed. Well, this was before last Friday, but he has rushed for 2.49 miles in his high school career. That's a lot.
4,000 some yards or something, right?
Yeah, 4,300 yards, or I forget what it was.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So he was actually first team All-State 6A or whatever it is in Missouri with Quinn Renfro last year. They had the two running back spots for one of the bigger classes in Missouri. So two studs that are coming in, or one's already here, but they'll be in the room together next year. So with Woods.
Well, I know based on his yards per carry, you don't think KTV's our short yardage guy, but the way he bowled through that line, man, I feel confident that we can call on him to get us a few yards when we need him.
So just out of curiosity, what do you guys think? Because, I mean, not that let's pretend we're going to expect to see that out of him every week. But like we haven't seen any big flashes. He's had a few carries. Is it just the lack of getting carries in at the right time in the past couple games? Because he was really just kind of cleanup work, I think.
I thought Will Papke looked really good this week.
Yeah.
And to Chad's point earlier, I thought Burnson looked really good. Yeah, he had maybe his best game of the season, in my opinion. I don't know. I just thought Will Papke looked really good at that left guard spot, really settled yesterday. So
I think transitioning from the running backs, it probably makes sense to talk about the offensive line then a little bit. Because we were talking about it before we went on the air, but to see them progress as the game went on, especially with a couple new faces in there, moving people around a little bit, that was cool to see because there was a huge progression. I went into the game wanting to watch Marcus Hicks specifically, was really excited to see him, and seeing the difference between the first quarter and the third quarter, my goodness, that was night and day. Because it was, the first quarter, he looked like somebody that hadn't played football, competitive football in a while. And what the hell? Yeah, exactly. What the hell do you expect? But did that turn around as the game went on. It was cool to see.
Yep. He's the kind of player you can tell that if he gets his hands on you, you're done.
I want to see him mad.
Yeah?
Not everybody plays mad well, but he looks like somebody that plays really well mad.
Well, Quentin was here. Quentin, does Marcus get mad? So, does he play mad?
Oh, did Quentin chime in?
Quentin was
yes. Yeah. Who wins when you piss him off, Quentin?
Well, he's got Quentin by 100 pounds, so
I was going to say,
yeah.
Sizable.
On offense, the passing game. I did spend some time talking about this in rants and raves because we got to address this. I mean, this is what we do.
It's not where it's got to be.
And it's not where it has to be. And I don't have the answers. I don't think anyone here has the answers. We don't get to see the all 22. We don't know what the calls were. We don't know. Sorry, Dallas. We don't know who's running the right routes or who's getting the right depth. We don't know any of that, right? But something is not clicking right now. We do know that. I think. And it's frustrating to me that with the number of athletic, high-quality tight ends that we have, that they didn't have a single target in that game. I think Griffin Wilde had finishing with 1 reception and only a couple targets. He had the reception early, a target early, and maybe another target later. Like, that's frustrating for me that he hasn't at least found bubble screens or something like that just to get him involved. Like, I want to see him, but I don't know what it is. You got to get the ball in his hands at some point, in my opinion.
Lack of production in the passing game is like just the manifestation of 100 different things. There's no like one single thing, because again, you talked about timing and just maybe there's a miscommunication. Maybe there's still some new guy things that they're working out. There was 3 drops at bad times, maybe 4, whatever it was, right? And it wasn't all the same person. All that stuff together, and then having an efficient passing game. The core of that is confidence. And if just one little stupid thing happens every 5 minutes, the confidence piece never comes, and then you don't see what we've been used to seeing here lately.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like we're going vertical a lot either, but maybe that's just based on scheme. Like you said, there's so many variables. We can't even see downfield to see if those guys are getting separation.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
The camera's never zoomed in right to see that. So
and you couldn't tell. We talk about Wilde not getting the shots. Okay, so we didn't have these little.
Most of the time.
Yeah, they might have been sliding somebody out on him every play. I have no idea. But then if that's the case, then a tight end is going to be open. Like, there's only 11 guys in the field at a time for the defense. So, Yeah, I don't know.
Yep. So I hope with improvement week that Mark and his pass catchers just continue to invest time together, and hopefully we see some improvement against you and I, right?
Well, this would be way different if we were worried about having like a lack of talent. We've got a ridiculous amount of talent, right? So they're obviously talking about this. We've got fantastic coaches.
Yep.
Yep, complete confidence that they're sorting it out.
And
Yeah,
and that's
but
where
like
I go. Like, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
Well, and I was just saying, like, that's where I kind of go. Like, I think, there is probably an element of this that we've talked about. The offensive line really started to gel this week. The defense really started to gel this week. Some of those guys, the running backs, like, we're starting to see that kind of take off. I mean, we had time of possession was 25 minutes. We ran 19 passing plays. We had 19 passing attempts as a team, 36 rushing attempts. Like, maybe that was a scheme that the coaches came in and like, hey, we can pound the ball on these guys. Let's do it. Now, again, not saying like that takes away like complete justification to go 8 for 19 and not, find those guys and not make those plays. I completely agree with that. But I do think like if there was a scheme, there was a strategy, there was a game plan around that from the coaches and from the players to kind of attack it that way. There's something there that, like we've said, we know the playmakers are there. Across the board in the pass game. We know Mark can do it. He's done this for 3 years for us already. I'm confident, especially after bye week, we're going to see that uphill slope with that pass game. It's not going to like stale out or go down. Like we're going to start to see progress. I'm fairly confident in.
Well, let's go.
Which is good because Farley's going to dial it up and make us try and beat him with the throws, right? I mean, if he's going to see a weakness or perceived weakness in our passing game, they're going to do all they can to try and slow down our run. I know Skeletor, he's pretty good defensive mind. He's pretty good defensive mind. It does feel a little bit like we're not using the same playbook from last year, and I mean, maybe we are, maybe we aren't. But if it's not broke, do you have to completely reinvent the wheel? And it's just the clunkiness of it, right? I mean, we're used to having such a great, efficient offense that we're just super spoiled. And when something's not clicking right away, I guess we're panicking a little bit. I don't know. But certainly we need a few more yards than that out of the passing game in Valley play.
I don't disagree, but it's also, we're talking about the players clicking. It's 2 new coaches there that probably also have the opportunity. And I guess Olsen's been around, but I mean, it's also the opportunity to click. So like the timing, you'd hope by 4 games in we'd have a little bit better off. But, this bye week will be great. I think it comes at a great time.
Agreed.
That's another good point. I mean, okay, so everybody here, everybody listening, if you're a grown up and have a job, if you throw in 2 new leaders in new positions in high pressure situations, there's going to be stuff that you work out. They're both great coaches, even better people. Like that's just common sense that's going to take a little bit of time to sort that out, right? Like imagine any scenario, whatever you do for a living, you throw some new leaders and decision makers in where they have to make fast paced decisions and plan something out. Like that's just going to take a little time. And I would say like you get through the non-conference, you've got improvement week, so you got time to sort it out. There's probably maybe some tweaks in the way they communicate, make decisions, whatever it is. I would assume that come through that. Jimmy works them through that, and excited to see how they come out the other side.
Yep. And like we've talked about, right, in the past couple of weeks with the offensive line and how many snaps they had together as a group. Mark lost Zach and Jaden and Jackson, and how many total career receptions did those 3 have together, touchdowns? How many reps did they have with Mark? They knew exactly where they were supposed to be on the yardages and how to play off the defense if they play them a certain way. They just don't have that knowledge and that chemistry probably yet, and that's going to come. Jake, I like where you were at with that. I mean, hopefully see that coming up here. So
those guys are like, I mean, Mark and the Yankees are like, Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. I mean, those guys were in sync. They were gelled, and I think it just takes a little time. And the same thing with the coaches. My freshman year, we had Clark Lee as our linebackers coach. Again, now head coach at Vanderbilt. Fun to see. And then, Coach Bubak. And then we brought in a new D-line coach, Coach Brown. And he kind of stepped in, and him and Bubak ran the defense. And it took some time for them to gel. And like we're sitting there as, kind of some experienced guys, like, what's going on here? I mean, this shouldn't be that complicated. But it was like, well, I want to stunt on this. I don't want to stunt on this. I want to run a blitz. It takes time for those guys to kind of line up in some of their perspectives as well, I think. And not saying that's happening on the offense, but I do want to recognize, like, we come in with new guys on the offensive side, new personnel, but then on the coaches too, that this bye week, I think we got 4 games to kind of set the table and see where we're at. And this comes at a great time.
Yep. Yep.
So Clint Brown was your coach?
Yep. Yeah. So Coach Brown was my D-line coach for my final three years. We had
Nice.
Coach Jarvis. Coach
Cool.
Jarvis right away.
He's down. I'm just trying to remember. He's down at K-State
Kansas
on
State.
Climbing State.
Yep.
Now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Great guy. Great story about Coach Brown a couple years ago. And this is, I think this is a testament to Stig. I'll go back to Stig, the culture he set. Quick story. I had a good friend that's actually an Oklahoma State fan. So we went down to Oklahoma State, Kansas State 2 years ago, down in Manhattan, Kansas, and ran him out of the blue. Text Coach Brown, say, hey, I'm coming down to the game. He met me in front of the football building at Kansas State before the game, 3-4 hours before the game. We talked for like an hour and 15 minutes. I'm like, dude, don't you have a game to get ready for? Like, don't you got something to do? I said that like 3 times, and it was like 90% family life, anything but football. I mean, we talked about his daughter, about my family. Just an awesome guy. I loved Coach Brown. He's just a great person.
Hey, that's good. That's good. I'm going to clip that, Jake, and we're going to send it to Steph, his wife. So I used to
there you
work
go.
with Steph,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
perfect.
Great.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
Love it.
All right. Dallas, you want to talk about Cubbies?
I would love to talk about Cubbies because I was in Brookings and I don't make it as much as I like. I was there for the, the Augustana game, and I went to Cubbies twice that day because I missed it just that much. What a cool hangout. If you want to see the best damn sports bar maybe in the world, I'm not sure, definitely in South Dakota, go to Cubbies Sports Bar and Grill, Main Street, Brookings. Everybody here, we talk about our favorites, a bunch of different times during the year. Pick it out. I actually eaten there twice. I went with a Windy City burger first, with the pretzel bun and the mushrooms and the bacon and all that for lunch. And then late night after the game and a whole lot of tailgating, went with some Chislic and some waffle fries. That was perfect. Very good. And the other thing, too, that I'm trying next is there is a blueberry sriracha chicken sandwich. And I was with different people both times, and I had other people try it, and they loved it. So that's what I'm going to have next time that I go there. But, check out Cubbies. Thanks for supporting us. Also took a picture. They've got a JI flag right in the middle, hanging on those stairs going up to the patio. So that was cool. A bit of a surreal moment seeing that. Matt mentioned it last week. But, Cubbies, love it. CubbieSportsBarandGrill.com.
All right. Thank you, Dallas. So for game balls this week, on offense, I went with Kobe Voorhees. None of us were so Chad, you picked Griffin Wilde. I picked Amar, Dallas Mark, and Jake Graham. So no one gets that one. So
Can argue with that, though.
All right, yeah,
Nope.
Kirby. I think Kirby has to be. So
Yeah, we all got it because we got to watch that performance.
yeah, right. How lucky are we? So, and all right, on defense, this could be controversial, but I went with Kobe Herter is who I went with. And if you went with the other Kobe or one of the other Kobe's, I wouldn't blame you. But I went with Kobe Herter. Led the team in tackles, had the interception, just played physical. His tackle for loss is really what impressed me.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to vote Herter. That was my vote.
That's who I had written down too. But we talked
you
about
nailed
the
all,
other guys.
Yeah, you nailed all three in rants and raves. I don't think that there's much arguing there, but a lot of standout play on that defense, holding them to 186 yards or whatever it was.
Yep.
That don't happen often.
And our special teams was special, right? I mean,
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's call that out for sure.
Yeah, I picked Beanham. You get a kick return, you win on that one.
obviously.
Punt return.
Unless there's someone that gets two.
Right. but Hunter Dustman was again phenomenal.
Very good.
He's so good.
We're spoiled there.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
I mean, where's Darren? Darren, what club was he hitting last night on a couple of those? I mean, my goodness. Man, he just can do it all. And it's so fun to watch someone that is that toolsy back there.
You make up the best words. Toolsy.
He's got lots of tools. He's toolsy.
Clubs in his bag.
Wasty. Just add a Y to it. That's
Wasty,
the word.
Yeah, I don't know, toolsy. That's a good one. He can do your normal punt, like a punt, pass, and kick. He kind of does some rollout stuff a little bit. I mean, he's
an athlete.
He's an athlete. He just has
Sounds like a Bob the Builder.
You know,
We'll see.
So I'm trying to remember. They already had the Jimmy Rogers show with that he was on, right? Did he already talk this year? Do you remember?
for what?
Hunter, you mean?
Yeah, Hunter was already on. Yeah.
Sorry, I said that terribly, but anyway, Chad figured out what I meant. But I mean, has he indicated if he's going to try to kick professionally in any facet? Does he want to? I've never heard. Yeah, I've never heard talk of it. But God, he's good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just curious.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
I'd
thought
like
the last guy was good. He's just better.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Congratulations.
I feel like that was the
everyone.
first time any of us had ever considered that. I don't know. Maybe he hasn't. If you're listening tonight, you're a very good kicker, and you should think about
it. and punter, whatever you want to do.
We believe in you.
Support it. Yeah. So, all right, Chad, you want to talk about Northwestern Mutual for us?
Sure. Northwestern Mutual is your one stop for all your insurance and investment needs. They got you covered. Life insurance, and they will help you figure out your overall financial plan with everything, including, estate planning, all that. They do it all. It's kind of a holistic approach, something I really believe in, doing it that way. And, obviously they're the title sponsor for the Alex's Lemonade Stand deal. They threw a tailgate, I guess, last night down in Louisiana. Sounds like it went really well. We had a couple people there. I saw that Chris was on the sidelines. I happened to clip him off the broadcast. So Chris Schenkel, shout out. Thanks for being a sponsor. Go give him a shout. Go give him a shout. If you ain't got anybody doing your financial plan in your life, you need somebody. You need that professional advice. It's not something that you can just do yourself based off the internet, right? Like they've shown time and time again that having a professional advisor pays for itself in spades. So go check out Northwestern Mutual. Call up Quentin Hicks or somebody and get the ball rolling and get your ducks in a row, because it will take a load off your mind to have everything planned out.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we have no game to preview. So we thought we would just take a little bit of time here and go around the Valley, kind of do a Missouri Valley Conference roundup for the non-conference portion of the schedule. And just kind of as we, look at the conference right now, it's starting to divide into some pretty clear tiers, right? We're starting to see it with Alex's by the numbers. Yep. It's pretty easy to see how things are sorting out. North Dakota, let's start with them because they are certainly the surprise right now. Did anyone see this coming from them with everything that they lost between their quarterback, so much on defense, the offensive line transfers?
I wish I had clipped the show that I had said they were going to be terrible and win 2 games or whatever I declared, because nope.
I guess, they're already 3-1. So sorry, Dallas. Yeah.
Well, the first half, that other team, they were sure in it, but then it was the wheels falling off. And it kind of looked like around the country, the top teams, that's what happened, NDSU, Montana, North Dakota, they were getting pushed a little bit at half. And then it's like they just wore the other teams down, because by the end of the games, it wasn't really even close.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're a very, very good coach team. I mean, we've seen that. Now we have, the opportunity to play them late in the year. We're playing them November 9th. I think that's, as we look at this right now, we're not gelling 100%. This was the first game. It's probably a good thing. We're playing them late in the year, right? And I think that opportunity, but going up there is going to be tough. That's not an easy place. We got some, familiarity with Danny and Coach Rouse. Both those guys have coached up there. Not that helps or changes anything, but that's a date to circle on the calendar. I think we got some tough ones. That's one to circle on the calendar, because that's going to be, at that time of year, lots of implications.
Yeah.
Just have to stop Bo Belquest. That guy's amazing.
Well, and that's the thing, the quarterback, Renfro, right? Wasn't even on my
No,
wasn't my radar. There was two other quarterbacks I thought before him, and he's just playing
the
great.
guy that we all thought was going to get it quit the team when he got second string.
Yeah, well, that's not the guy I thought was going to get it.
Oh, really?
I thought Kaminsky was going to get it.
He did.
He was great. So, so it's just kind of, I don't know, Romfro. Thank you. Yep. Thanks, Seth Meyer. But I don't know. It's very interesting to see them playing so well.
Yeah, I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Next, let's go with Illinois State. I don't know how long Illinois State can keep up at this pace with these injuries that they have. Losing Zambrano, their tackle. Abdullah hasn't hardly played. And then their Mason King, their running back. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me that they just keep on winning. Tommy Rittenhouse has definitely improved. Their defense is looking better, even without Abdullah. So I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one to watch too, just because these injuries you think in Valley play are going to impact them at some point without their top talent.
Yeah, and then they've got a bit of a meat grinder the next couple. They got North Dakota State coming down September 28th here this weekend, so they're going to learn a lot in a big hurry. Then they got to go to Carbondale, which is are they contenders or pretenders in Carbondale with Southern Illinois? I don't know, but there's always been that alleged letdown the week after people play North Dakota State because it is a physical, demanding game, and you get pounded by that giant line on both sides of the ball. So that's going to be a couple tough ones, and I think by middle of October we'll know where the Redbirds stand.
And Seth, that's a good point, right? They haven't necessarily played the toughest schedule, but I think as the broadcasters pointed out in that game, those in-state games, weird shit happens. And Western, to their credit, even when they've been awful the last few years, at least has some athletes that can make a play and break a play at any point in a game. And I think we saw that in that Illinois State game a little bit. That's one of the games I watched, actually. So NDSU, Dallas, you talked about them for a second. I don't know. That golden horseshoe is still firmly affixed.
Yeah.
That ain't coming off, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think it was Brendan that said in our group chat, right? That they finally have gone back to that 2-back system versus the committee. And I think they have 2 good backs. The kid from Fargo, Capino or whatever his name is, and then Marty Brown. They both look very good. And Cam Miller, they've kind of settled in with just Cam Miller. Cole Payton trots out there for some just short yardage runs, and that's about it. So my concern with NDSU, and also another positive, great young wide receivers, but my concern is at this point, their defense. Hoofda. They just do not look like the Bison defense of old. That's for sure.
Statistically, that's sure what it looks like the issue is. I haven't watched any of their games yet this year, but they get the run game going. Cam Miller's a good quarterback. It causes me physical pain to stand up for North Dakota State in any way, shape, or form, but I get so annoyed still when anybody says anything negative because I think he's a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
And he doesn't deserve the shit that he's got, the last few years. And I think everybody's kind of turning around on that, but no, I don't know. I mean, they're going to be there. I don't see them dropping any other games. I still think it's going to be, we're going to line up against them in Fargo at 1 versus 2 or whatever, right? Who knows what Idaho does or whatever. But in my mind, that's still 1 and 2. But no, they're solid.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of have a grinder of a 4-game stretch here. Illinois State, North Dakota, Southern Illinois, us. So yeah, we're gonna have a good by October 19th. We're gonna have a good snapshot of what kind of team they are.
I hate saying this, but I think I also declared that they were going to put up like 70 points on North Dakota at the season. So I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
No, that's going to be a shootout. I mean, I think that's going to be a lot of points in that game.
Yep. All right. Next up is us in the standings. We're all tied 3-1 with that group. And then South Dakota checking in at 2-1. USD.
Nobody cares.
Has anyone seen much of USD? I've not caught any of USD. So
and they're so hard to get a read on. I mean, they played Wisconsin, which is hard to tell. They get a canceled game, and then Drake. It's like their last 3 weeks have just been. I mean, it's hard to get a read on, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's
was-
no litmus there.
Yeah.
I was about to say I hadn't watched them play, but I was at that Wisconsin game, so I don't really have an out there.
You were focused on other things.
I was. It's tough to get a feel for what their line is going to be like in the Valley when you're playing the monsters that Wisconsin trots out there. I mean, they got some good athletes. Their running back is very good. That tight end, I'm trying to remember statistically if he produced much, but he looks the part, like he fit out there. So, that's another team that I just didn't think. I thought they were extremely overrated at the start of the season, and I still kind of do. Could absolutely be proven wrong, but I still think last year was a product of their schedule outside of that NDSU game. They won every game they should have won, and I don't think that they've got it. I don't know. I don't think they've got the depth. I don't know that they necessarily have the offensive and defensive lines to get through the Valley season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just looking at scores, how bad is Eastern Washington if they lost to this Drake team? Like, how, man alive.
Biblically bad.
Whoa.
They're just not those guys.
Zing! Hi, Kyler.
Good.
All right. You're going to take a shot at my quarterback. It's coming back at you.
All right. Next up in the standings is Southern Illinois, 2-2. So we have a bunch of schools here. Missouri State 2-2, Southern Illinois 2-2, and Northern Iowa 2-2. So let's go with Southern Illinois. Obviously, we heard this week quarterback done for the season, and he's an electric player. Their defense, they lost a ton of guys from their defense, and I feel like SEMO last night kind of exposed that a little bit. In the first,
that's a hell of a
test.
quarterback. Though.
I know it's a good offense at SEMO, but still, like that to me, their defense is not what it was last year. At least at this point, it's still early. A lot of new faces.
We've already brought up two teams where the next 2 or 3 games is probably going to dictate the rest of their season. But if anybody else is looking at their schedule, this is another one so they just lost 2 SEMOs. We mentioned 38-21. They go to the Dakota Waste Treatment Plant in Vermilion this weekend. So they're at USD.
The hole.
And then, then they get Illinois State at home that we already mentioned, and then they got the Bison. So, I mean, over the next 3 games, it is very possible you get that, quarterback's hurt. I have no idea what their depth looks like there. I mean, they could be folded 2 weeks from now, and that could be it for them for the season. They've got a great coach. Nick Hill is phenomenal. Really like that guy. Trust what he can put out there, but that's a lot of adversity to face.
Losing their quarterback was just too much, I think. I mean, they played admirably against SEMO, though. So, I mean, it's a quality offense. It's a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't pull it off.
Yeah. Missouri State from that group, I don't know. I hope Missouri State is just done with it. I think we play them the week after they play NDSU. It's down there. I just really hope that it's one of those where they've already turned in their shoulder pads and helmets. They're ready to be done because they're not eligible for postseason, right? So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know anything else about Missouri State. They played Montana tough. They played the FBS school tough, Ball State or whoever it was. Yep. So we'll see.
Beat Lindenwood, beat UT Martin. I don't think Lindenwood's a walkover. Coach Stugart, old USF coach there. That's not a pushover, but again, I don't think they've been tested.
Yep. So I don't know. It's kind of a scary last game of the season, just because it's going to be their last FCS game. So, all right, you and I went to Hawaii last night and got dumped on 36-7. Gave up over 500 yards and produced less than 200 yards of offense. So ugly.
It was jet lag.
It's just weird.
Yeah, like
last week, Jake, I asked you, could you ever imagine, question, and this is scary with you and I next after the bye week, but it's just weird to see you and I in this position, isn't it? A little bit.
yeah, it is. I mean, and again, it's a different program today in 2024 as it's been, and again, commendable to the university, Stig, everybody else in that regard the last 10 years. But like it was just different playing in UNI back in that time. I mean, you did not go to UNI with a good feeling. It was a hard place to play. It was a nasty place to play. We just never. I mean, we could have been 2 scores better than them, and it'd be a field goal game. It was just always that way with them. And again, just to see them in that position, it's different. It is very different. I'd love to go to that game. That sounds like it'd be a heck of a one to go and be at. But it's too bad that they have a week off like we do too. I mean, that'd be the thing. Get them after they get just 2 tough losses here in Nebraska and Hawaii.
Yep.
That'd have been a good place to have them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't know. UNI is tough too. They seemingly lose so much talent every year now, either to the portal. They had a huge graduating class like last year, like we did. So I don't even know a lot of their faces on defense right now. I looked through kind of their stats from the game, and it's like, man, I don't recognize any of these names, especially on defense. Offensively, Morency's still there. A couple other good wide receivers. They have some talented backs, so it's going to be an interesting game. We'll preview them fully next week, but I don't know. It's just weird seeing UNI in this position.
Yeah, I don't like it. I actually would really like to see them be good. It's kind of like people that I would imagine witnessed Youngstown being what they used to be when they started to fade off. And they're not really comparable programs necessarily, but it feels like that to me. My introduction to this level of football was, UNI being a powerhouse and being solid and being consistent. And it kind of sucks to see it falling off. And, I was down there, a few years ago, I forget, it was probably 5-6 years ago now, whenever it was, watched the game down there and just seeing even the building start to kind of fall apart and not look like I remembered it looking. Like that sucks. I don't like it.
Yep. Chad, we commented on that 2 years ago when we were down there, just the facilities and how it looked like.
Yeah, and I know they had to go outside of their athletic department to raise funds for that. Their athletic department's just been a mess. Let's be honest. That's what it is. I mean, we're so lucky we got Justin Sell from them that I don't know how else to say that, but I guess he saw the handwriting on the wall maybe, or saw a good opportunity likely and came up, and we're glad to have him. But their athletic director just hasn't been it. I think they got a new guy or a new person in there now. I shouldn't say guy, but I think it is. And I think they're trying to come around and make things a little better. We'll know that they've actually made it when they've gotten the cat piss staying off the field. So
Jesus. All right.
I could not reference it.
You had to reference it. You had to do it. But speaking of Justin Sell, let's talk about Indiana State here and former Jackrabbit associate AD Nathaniel Christensen, who's now out there at Indiana State. What is he going to do with Kurt Mallory here? The Sycamores are 1-3 again to start the year, or 1-2, excuse me, and have not looked good. Have not looked like a competent program again. I just don't know what they can even do. I mean, do they go like Western to the Ohio Valley? Would that be their best option at this point? I don't know. So not much fun talking about Indiana State.
No, Sam, I got nothing because I was trying to imagine what I would do, if I had to step in there, because it's such a chicken or the egg. Like the university has to invest in that program for it to have any chance at all, because we were in a spot where we were able to get some traction before the initial investments because of just we're the only show in town in the state at the times, right? So there's excitement, there's buzz. We're able to, fantastic leadership with Stig and with Sal and everybody else and getting stuff moving, and Peggy at the time. But you get you get into an area where there's other Division I football and other distractions, and there's just, I don't know how you can possibly pretend to compete if you don't invest first, but I'm sure the school doesn't want to. So I don't know. That's a rough place to be.
Basketball school, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I mean, just have Larry Bird come out and teach 3-point shooting clinics at halftime and charge thousands of dollars. I don't know what's the answer.
You're a thinker, Chad. I love it.
But speaking of basketball schools, Murray State is next at 1-2. And I mean, we saw the horse almost get turned into glue, right? After the Mississippi Valley State game when they scored 7,000 points against them. So
I actually was gonna bring up Mississippi Valley State. How bad are they?
They're not.
Do they have people on scholarship that had never played football before?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole. I was amazed because Murray is not good.
Yeah. But the most disappointing team of this season, right, in the Valley is Youngstown, probably. After their rise kind of the last few years, to be 1-3 at this juncture and completely waffle stomped, as Ben would say, by Pittsburgh yesterday, getting beat by Duquesne. Their defense not improving at all, and with the departures they had from the transfer portal last year, losing virtually everyone on their defense to that or graduation. I would be concerned if I was a Penguin fan, in my opinion. I would be at this juncture. A lot of season left for them too. They could still turn it around in Valley play, but man alive, it's not looking good.
I mean, it was that Duquesne game is the real issue here, because you look at the rest of it, and Nova, we've talked about from the beginning of the season, is a legitimate contender. Mm-hmm. They're solid. So, I mean, there's really the one, if they had not dropped that, I mean, that was a jaw-dropping loss. I don't know what the hell happened there. Did anybody watch that? I did not.
I watched the second half, and their offensive line just got rocked, and their quarterback had zero time, and he's not a good passer necessarily to begin with. So, yeah.
All right.
Just, I don't know.
Yeah, they'll be doing the dance.
But it's going to be an interesting, conference season because it does feel wide open right now. I think, it's us, NDSU, UND, Illinois State, if they can somehow keep going. SIU, if they can, whatever this backup quarterback looks like.
USD question mark?
USD, yeah.
So, all right. So actually, I got a question for you guys, all three of you. If you had to pick which one is legit, is it USD, UND, or the Redbirds? Which one is actually legit?
UND.
I'm gonna have to go with the Dogs.
Really? I'm going with UND.
Yep. UND.
Okay.
What about you?
Can we track that?
That actually sounds kind of fun.
If UND had played some away games, then I could give a better,
But the next 3-4 weeks tells a lot. I mean, there's some big games
does.
by the end of October, they're going to have a lot of writing on the wall by the end of that 3-week stretch here, 4-week stretch.
My heart says I hope it's Illinois State. I like Brock's back. They've been able to reload a handful of times and kind of been up and down. I'm actually worried it's the Coyotes. I think I'm a little bit concerned that they're actually legitimate. We will see.
All right.
It'd be nice to have an Illinois program that's worth a hoot.
Chad, who'd you say? Did you say SIU?
I said the Dogs. I meant USD. If that wasn't clear, I'm sorry.
So just making sure. I didn't remember what Dallas gave for options. So
yeah, I was actually going to call you out because I did not give Southern Illinois as an option.
He didn't. Okay. They're the mangy dogs to me. So
we got two USD, 2 UNDs, right? So Matt and I are UND. All right.
Yep. All right. Jake, you want to talk about JFPA quick?
Yeah, I mean, so again, JFPA doing a lot of great things. I think just kind of that dynamic with the former players and being able to kind of continue that brotherhood and a lot of good things we're talking about with the team and all the things that the team coming together, they're meshing, they're playing well, and we're trying to continue that relationship with the JFPA. So, a good testament to that is, kind of that family fun that we've done. You'll see some opportunities here if anybody wants to be involved with military week coming up, the games Matt Anderson, again, a former player that died in a tragic accident this summer. We're going to do a couple cool things with some hats and T-shirts, kind of expanding that. So again, anybody's welcome to kind of get on the website, purchase those things. That all goes back to the players, goes back to those funds that we give to those causes like that. So just a really cool thing to kind of continue to be involved for the players, but also, anybody that wants to support some of these players that we kind of get to know, we kind of get to love in a lot of different ways. This is a good way to do that through the JFPA. So,
all right.
And how cool was it that it was 41-0, right? I mean, somebody pointed that out. That was pretty
Kyle
rad.
did. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, Kyle, sorry.
Yep. All right. So now we don't have predictions to make, so we're just going to give our non-conference MVP. We're all going to choose one here. I don't know if anyone wants to go first. Anyone really like burning to go first here tonight?
You said non-conference?
Oh, like who would you pick in the 4 games we've had? Who would you give MVP to?
Sorry, did you warn us about this?
Okay, gotcha.
Did you warn us about this?
No, it was just on the text
like
message.
12 minutes before.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
12 minutes before, yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Well, I'll go
Assuming
first.
you had your
then.
phone in
You
your
go
hand.
first.
I'll go first. So for me on offense, I'm going with Amar. I talked about him last week. I think he's been excellent on offense, running the ball. He had a drop last night, but he is really showing up in the passing game. Looks stronger, faster, bigger, whatever. Just excited for him to get his chance. So Amar is my offensive MVP through the first 4 games.
It's hard to disagree with that, Matt.
Yeah, I second that. I was going to pick Amar. I just think, again, to your point, he looks stronger. He looks faster. He had big shoes to fill. He stepped up. Got to give him love.
Dallas is really thinking, man.
He wants to say G-Dub.
Yeah.
I'm reading. So
give him a lot of time then. D-line, it's
reading
take us a while
stats,
here.
probably.
Give us some time.
I'm reading stats.
You can't pick a position group. That's a compliment.
I'm going with the old line.
I wish.
This is rough. So, no, what I was actually looking for, I was looking for justification to pick Kobe Humphrey, to be honest with you, and I don't know that I can quite do it. I'm more excited for what he's going to do because of just what we've seen, the opportunities against any team that wants to sling the ball. They're not throwing it at Dallas Beanham, and Kobe Humphrey, to me, is poised to be on just an unbelievable season. If he's going to get the majority of the targets going his direction. I was going to call out, I forgot a couple weeks ago when I wasn't on, that if there was like a player stock to buy into, it would definitely be Kobe Humphrey, just because I think he's poised to have an unbelievable year. So
we know Dallas's defensive MVP.
I was going to say, I thought Matt was doing one offense, one defense.
Oh, no, you didn't say one offense, one defense. You just said MVP.
I swear I did multiple times, but that's okay. It's fine, Dallas. It's fine.
I don't know if you said
sorry.
it either, but I just got that impression. So
I didn't. I thought you just said. I'm going to run this back. I
don't know. We'll have to run it back.
No, anyway. Amar. Amar has basically. We talked about. Is he going to live up to being able to just be the guy? Clearly, he's going to be the guy.
Yep.
Going with Amar.
Yep. All right, Jake or Chad, who are you guys going with defensively?
I mean, I really liked what I've seen out of the other Colby. If we're going to pick someone on the D-line, he's my pick.
All right.
I was going Claiborne. I just got to stick to the D-line.
There we go.
Fun to watch.
He's my favorite player to watch. Yep, he is who my eyes are on him when the ball is snapped. Every
just play. The explosiveness is just amazing. It's fun.
The linebacking crew has been so just solid across the board. It's hard for even any one of them to stand out all the time. I mean, Box had great games. So
Francie's been good. Yeah.
Francie's been good.
Caleb
Dayton McGoy had a giant sack.
Magui, Magali. Yeah, I wish
Magoo.
I remember what all they said.
That was Magood.
Yeah.
That was McGreat, maybe. I don't know.
Well, once again, we split here. I went with Kobe Humphrey. So I wrote him down. Yeah.
Let's go, Jake.
So, All right. There we go. Congratulations, guys. Amar, Kobe Claiborne, Kobe Humphrey. There we go. And Adam Bach. I would like that too. And Hunter Dustman's the special teams. I think he's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No brainer.
Yep. All right.
90% of our special teams.
Yeah, right. Anything, guys, in the next to say before next week when we preview you and I? Anything you want people to know?
Chad.
There's the loon. There's the loon. Good.
I thought I heard that.
That was
Yeah,
good.
Well done.
Kid screaming up above.
Yes. All right. And with that, go big, go blue, go
Jags.
Jags.